Today, I want to talk about different part of your brain. Basically, what you're going to suggest to you is that there is like a part of your brain where it's like your brain has decided based on like external feedback. The thing that you've done, behavior that you've done to have either a short-term mating strategy or it's decided to have a long-term mating strategy. So what are the two differences? Well, like short-term mating strategy, it's kind of like you get like pumped up, like you go nuts, and you know, your unconscious brain, what it's trying to do now, what you're trying to do, but your unconscious brain is trying to basically is impregnate as many women as possible. By the time you're maybe like 25, 30, 35. And then you just die. You just die, lol. All right, versus a long-term mating strategy, which is more like, you know, raise a few kids, but you actually take the time to raise them properly, and you have, you know, a good way of raising them, and then can have like a proper childhood and things like that, and grow up properly. These are actually two different sort of mating strategy that your brain might engage. It's kind of funny to think about. Now, why that happen? Why can't you just run around and dump kids everywhere and not die? Well, I guess you could, but the point being is that, you know, what the brain kind of does is that the brain recognizes that when you go into state, as we call, but kind of like that, sort of in the zone, and that kind of shit. When you go into that, that's kind of like when you girls, like when you really get result. So if your brain has engaged in like a short-term mating strategy, what it will tend to do is sacrifice almost everything to preserve that state. You know, things like even something as simple as brushing your teeth. You might not even think about it. This is also why a lot of dudes who are kind of in that mindset, they drink a lot of booze, you know. Probably not likely to use condoms when they have sex or something like that. But basically just woo woo, right? Just like strip, yeah, like that. They don't even want to hear it. Like they don't want to slow down the party. They don't want to, you know, do anything that messes up their flow. They don't want to hear any kinds of feedback that'll mess up their flow. Basically, it's just awesome. Why am I awesome? Motherfucking awesome. That's why, bitches. Awesome, right? It's kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street. You've seen like Jordan Belfort, right? It's the same type of vibe. A guy operating on short-term mating strategy, chasing money, status, and woman, all about immediate wins and zero concern for long-term consequences. Just straight like full disillusional confidence. I'm a boss. I'm a boss. And just like going through his head all the time, awesomeness, just like straight up. It's like, why are you awesome? Because blah. That's why. Like no rhyme or reason for it. Completely retarded. It doesn't matter. Now, basically, as long as someone, you know, if you say you have a short-term mating strategy, and again, that's not like you have consciously, but that your brain has gone in that direction, you know. Everything is sacrifice. Your entire life is sacrifice, basically, just to maintain you in that state. So what about like the long-term mating strategy? The long-term mating strategy, in order to go like quote-unquote like state, your life kind of like needs to be together. This is why a lot of guys that, you know, are kind of like engaged in that sort of mentality will make comments like, dude, you know, if I go out tonight at night and I'm doing well in my finance and I've been going to the gym, I'm taking care of my health, and every part of my life is on point, boom, I feel good, right? And if those things aren't handled properly, I don't feel good. So I know that's part of the bigger picture. It's kind of like where you get like the little debate, say like online, right? Some people will say looks don't matter, health doesn't matter, money doesn't matter. Other guys are like, no dude, if I don't have that stuff, I don't feel good and I don't get girl. So the thing is that it actually just depends, Both people are giving their honest perspective. It just depends on which part of their brain is engaged. Now, the craziest I think is guys that coach or guys that actually have a dating company. I think that's the most off-the-wall job of anything that I can think of. And that's because, you can take a guy like myself, but there's a lot of guys like me out there, we go out like during those 3 days, let's say boot camp, and it's like straight retarded, like almost like in a short-term mating strategy mode, right? The fact that I'm 5'8", ginger, with skin so bright that I'm gonna explode in the sun, irrelevant. Awesome. Why awesome? Awesome. It's just like that. No reason, no rhyme whatsoever. Oh, I'm good looking, gifted by God. That's how handsome I am. Like just no rhyme or reason, See, like, and that's just the way it is. I'm just like short-term mating strategy every boot camp. It's just like taking like this little Thursday, just finished some work, little tired, been hustling a lot this week, and it sounds like a little bit weird just to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. And that's like that mode, right? But then like during the week, let's say on a Monday, it's like, oh, there's my daughter who just texts me, hello, and I have like many responsibility, work on the computer for many hours, eat the healthy things, go boxing, alternating like back and forth, that type of things. And in a way, I feel like when you sort of engage in that like short-term mating strategy, even though you've decided that you want to be successful in life, it's almost like you have to use in your advantage, but not let it take over you, all right? So I guess what I would say to you is that, look, first of all, if you're in a mindset where you have to have like everything in your life like on point in order to feel good, that's up to you. That's a personal decision. But realize that there's a part of your mind that you can access where literally none of this stuff matters at all. In fact, the more retarded you behave, basically, the more in state you're gonna go and the more successful a woman you're going to be. And that's kind of like exactly what we teach on bootcamp. That's exactly what I say to our students this weekend. If you feel over the weekend that you become more retarded, you're in the right direction. And that's a little bit like surprising, but that's really my own experience with like getting good with girl. On the flip side, for those who have gone too far down that route, realize that, your life may not turn out the way you want it. You know what I'm saying? You'll be into your midlife crisis where you have had a lot of girls throughout your life and your life kind of like turns out like crap. So you kind of go to see both sides of the equation here and the perspective. And on that, the one kind of like tend to have I kind of have to have a bias towards, that sort of like lean towards, is the idea that, you want to mentally engage in that sort of like long-term mating strategy, or having like a nice, healthy, long, productive, loving life. But at the same time, when you're out, it's like work hard, play hard, all right? Fully retard, full mode on. Does it make sense to you? I hope it does. So anyway, let's say peace out from this nice view from Poway here on the hill. I'm actually gonna go out tonight in San Diego, and also just getting ready for our next bootcamp, which is gonna be in San Francisco. I'm very excited. Jeff's gonna be here. We're gonna roll the van. So I hope to see you soon. I have a lot of stuff coming up on the channel, so keep an eye on it. Until next time,